Okay, we're continuing with the basic understanding of the returning light, right? So let's get to the goal, which is understanding how we develop Yud Kei Vav Kei throughout the Jewish year. So the Yud has the beyond, and then it comes down to Keter, the crown above the Yud. So how is it developed in the Jewish year? Okay, and when is it happening? So we said from Rosh Hashanah begins the 40 days of Yetzirah, Arba'im Yamim L'Yetzirat Havlad. 40 days of the Yetzirah, right? Now, what are we forming here? So in Rosh Hashanah was the birth of, the conception, conceiving of Yechida. Who's that? Yitzhak Avinu. Because Sari Menu became conceived, our sages tell us, with Yitzchak on Rosh Hashanah.
What is the order? Yechida, Yetzirah is part of this also? It's one
Yechidas, these are the levels of our soul. They correlate to the 5 levels, the 5 worlds and the 5 levels of our soul. The 5 levels of our soul, from top to bottom, where the Jewish soul begins, is called Yechida. Yechid, like oneness. It's like there's only God, like you don't exist. There's nothing but God. Everything's for God. All people don't, everything's just Yechida, right? Beyond. It's just all one. And that would correlate to the highest world, which is Adam Kadmon, right? Beyond, really. Mamish. Adam Kadmon. Then, after Yechida, the Sefer Bereshis is Chaya, right? Beginning of birthing into this world. Okay, and Sefer Shemos, the women said that Shifra and Pruah said that the Israeli women were like chayot. By the time they got to them, they gave birth already. That's a birthing, right? And then we said Vayikra is neshama, because it's the pivoting point, and neshama is the letters Mishanah, to change yourself, change your lower self as to match your new higher self from Sefer Bereshis and Shemos, right? Yeah, all those things, right? It's all the letters Shmona and the beyond. Connecting to the beyond, right? Mordechai was Mishnah, the Melech Achashverosh. That's what we're saying in Vayikra time, as we're going into Vayikra, and in Vayikra time, and as Shana Mu'beret, we're reading the Megillah. Mishnah, the Achashverosh, Melech Achashverosh, that means that physical guy. It doesn't just say Melech, which means God. But Melech Achashverosh, that physical guy, Mordechai was Mishnah, the Melech Achashverosh. He was the Viceroy, that's how you translate it, to the king. It means Mishnah's letters, Neshama. So now, then you have, next level, Ruach, right? In one of the Parshas, Bahalacha, in that Parsha, it says the word Ruach 4 times. And then it says it again in Pinchas, Ish Ruach Bo. That's Yeshua ben Nun, right? El Den Ameda, the Ruach, in Bahalacha, it's the 4 times. Okay, the Ruach was upon us, all these things. So that's Bamidbar. And Nefesh appears all through Devarim. It really correlates to Nefesh. So the 5 levels of the Jewish soul again is Yechida, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, Nefesh, all the way coming down as we go through the Jewish year from Bereshis, Shemos, Vayikra, Bamidbar, Devarim, right? Now, the five worlds, Adam Kadmon, the beginning of Bereshis, right? Adam Kadmon, Atzilus, is really once you're getting to Yechida. Yechida really correlates to Atzilus, and Adam Kadmon is really a little bit beyond that, actually. Okay? And then, Adam Kadmon, Atzilus. People don't talk about Adam Kadmon because that's before everything. Like on Tu B'Shvat, the first cup of wine, even before we drank wine, was Adam Kadmon. And then drinking the cup of wine was Atzilus. And then when you get to, then under Atzilus is Beria, creation, Yetzirah, formation, and Asiya.
Which one goes to which soul?
So Atzilus would correlate to Yechida. Mm-hmm. Right? Adam Kadmon is like, also Yechida, but it's beyond, really. It's beyond Yechida, but it's like the source of Yechida. Okay? Adam was Yachid in the world. He was the only one, right? And then you would say Bria would correlate to Chaya, right? Was Bria creation and birth, Chaya, birth. And then you would say that Yetzira, time of formation, that's why we're going to have Yotzros now. We just had some Beit Knesset, my Beit Knesset did Yotzros for Parshat Shekalim. As you're coming into Neshama, which we're heading into Neshama now, it's about Yotzros, Yetzira. So that's why I scared it again. Because you're going to have a leftover, because Ruach, which would correlate to also Yetzira, because you have to have like an overlap, because Yetzira formation, right, is going to correlate to both Neshama and how it's coming down into form. So that's going to be, right, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. So then Nefesh is the very bottom of the Vav, the very bottom of Ruach. Ruach is the Vav, right?
So it's not a one-to-one correlation?
Not completely one-to-one. Because it's flowing through each other, yeah, because they're pulling down. We talk about Neshamot. The Neshama is a generic term, Neshama. The word Moshe is the letters Neshama, from Moshe, to pull. Bacha pulled him out of the Yaora, of the light, all that light, pulled it out, right? And it's pulling it down to this world. And so it's this aspect of like phasing from one level into the other. Because when you talk about Sefer Midbar is Ruach, so Ruach, right, is a Vav, from heaven to earth. Right? Rashi says by Das, which is the Vav, that it's Ruach HaKodesh. Das is Ruach HaKodesh. Why? Because it's the Vav. Das is the Vav. And a Vav is heaven to earth. So Ruach HaKodesh means like you know what God wants you to do. So that's connecting heaven to earth. So that's Sefer B'Midbar, meaning first beginning is like in the beyond. So you're going back up into the beyond again, right? And then as you're going down, you're coming down, the second half of the Vav is coming down into Nefesh. And the Nefesh is like cut off. And that's the secret of Briti Shalom. In Pinchas, the bottom of the Vav is a Vav Ketua. It's cut off. And it's in the bottom. And if you've ever seen that in the Sefer Torah in Parshat Pinchas. Because you got to know that Devarim, which correlates to the hay, right? This world, and Nefesh is Meshugana, is like cut off. And it's our job to bring it back. Teshuv hay, return that hay. Right? David Aaron explains that just like the Arizal says Teshuvah is Teshuv hay, return our five senses to Yud Kei Vav, to like Chabad, Chachma Bina Das, and return our actions, the hay down here. So in English, a five-sided building is a pentagon. And so the English word for Teshuvah is repent. Do the five again. Repent. The five-sided building, right? That's pretty cool. Repent, do the five. And teshuvah, return that hay, the five. So you see both in English and in Hebrew. But let's go back to developing the Keter, right? So Yechida, now you're talking about the 10 Sfirot, Yechida correlates to Keter. Correlates to Keter, right? And Keter, when you have to have 10 Sfirot. So if you count from Keter, so one of them goes out, which is Das. Keter Chachma Bina, Chesed Gevura Teferet Netzach Hod, right? Yesod Malchut. When you're Yonek, when you're pulling not from Keter but from Chachma, so it's Chachma Bina Das. Then you have Das. So we're going to get to Purim, and it's Ad Lo Yada, meaning we're Yonek, we're pulling from Keter. And Chodesh Adar, according to the Sefer Yetzirah, correlates to Keter Kahuna. And also Shvat is Keter. But this Keter is what we're bringing down to the world. Where does the Keter begin in the Jewish year? That's the whole thing. So Keter is Yechida, right? It's a kotza of the Yud. And if Yitzchak is conceived on Rosh Hashanah, right? And Yitzchak, in the Akedah Yitzchak, is called Yechida. God says to Avram, take your Yechida, the one you love, right? Yitzchak, right? So Yechida, Avram is willing to give up everything and go back to beyond, Adam Kadmon, so take your Yechida and be ready just to give up everything, sacrifice it to me, right? Now in Rosh Hashanah, we read the birth of Yitzchak and the Akedas Yitzchak, Rosh Hashanah. 40 days later, it takes 40 days for the Yetzirat Havlad, for the formation in any pregnancy, a normal, regular biological pregnancy. Within the first 40 days, there's no really form yet. And our sages say that's why Leah, when she was pregnant with her seventh son, right, she prayed that it would become a girl. And she was able to do that, and it's not considered tefillat shav, like a forsaken prayer. What are you doing? You're already pregnant. She's able to do that because the sages says she prayed within the first 40 days. And even today, a husband and wife, they can pray. She becomes pregnant, you can pray to become a girl, to become a boy, whatever you want, right? Because it hasn't reached that form yet. So the form comes down after 40 days. That's going to be Yud Cheshvan from Rosh Hashanah, right? The first of Tishrei, 40 more days, the 10th of Cheshvan. And we begin what? The beginning of the Jewish soul. And the 10th of, now all the Parshiot are lined up to this. The week of the 10th of Cheshvan is when we begin reading, Parshat Vayira, which is what? The Parsha that we read, parts of it, right?
Third one
on Rosh Hashanah. That's the third, fourth one maybe, right? Bereshis, Noach, Leiflecha, Vayira. Fourth one. But that's amazing that once you get to the Yetziras Havlad, we're going to read again for the Parsha Shavua what we read on Rosh Hashanah, the birth of Yitzchak, Yechida, and the Akedas Yitzchak, the second day. Why the second day Akedas Yitzchak? Because the second day, the first day is like a freebie of all this light in Rosh Hashanah. Catch them. The second day you're like pulling it down, doing the work. Okay? So that's important. Okay, now what's really incredible is that the light of Yechida, right, is that light of beyond. In the 12 tribes of Israel, it correlates to one of our tribes. That light from beyond. Who do you think that would be? Now, Keter, Yechida, is not part of this world down here. It's like from the beyond. And so a Jew has this part of him that's not part of this world.
It's either Levi or Yosef, right?
Well, I'll give you a hint. Right? Lavan, right, is pretty much a guy of this world, isn't he? Lavan, right? And Yaakov lived with Lavan and somehow kept the mitzvahs and everything, right? And once Yosef was born, right, then Yaakov took off from Lavan and ran away with his wives, everything, concubines, all the children. Lavan chases after him, catches up to Yaakov. And what does he say to Yaakov? He says, you know what, Yaakov? In the Torah he says, all that you see, your wives, your children, right? They're all mine. And Yaakov didn't argue, right? And then after that they encountered Esav and they bowed to Esav, right? So, and then after all that, who was born?
After Yosef, Binyamin.
Yeah. So Binyamin wasn't around, wasn't there when Lavan said, everything you see, your wives and children are all mine. Binyamin is not part of this fake world of Lavan, and he's not part of the world of Esav. Binyamin is not part of the world. So what is the land inheritance for the tribe of Binyamin? What part of Israel? Jerusalem, Temple Mount, right? The Mizbeach, the Kodesh of Kodeshim, is in the tribal region of Benjamin. I mean, Benjamin is not part of this world. The Kodesh of Kodeshim, the holies of holies, the insides of the insides of the insides. So now, we taught that there's Sfirot and HaOmer on both sides of the Jewish year. And we showed hints for it because Ezra took the Torah of Moses and gave us that beautiful script, right? According to Rashi and many opinions, because Moshe wrote it in Katav Ivrit. And he took the Torah of Moshe and broken into 5 books of Moses, to be read, right, within a 1-year cycle, and broken into 54 different parshiot, right, to be read within a Shana Mu'ber, a leap year. And when it's not a leap year, we condense it, right? We put parshiot together, I guess to 50, whatever it is. Okay, exactly. I don't know, exactly. So that's amazing, because now that we read this in a 1-year cycle, amazing things we see. Now, concerning the 2 sides to the Jewish year and Sfirat HaOmer, there's hints in the Parshiot for everything going on, right? Physically, spiritually, the flood, the rain started in Israel when we read Parshat Noach, right? I start eating lentils, the body wants more food. As you get to Toldot, we're coming into Kislev, it's getting colder, you want more of that kind of food, right? So we're in a coat. Yaakov buys a coat, gets a coat for Yosef Atzadik. You got to really then start wearing something, bundling up a bit that time of year, right? As we're going into Hanukkah, it's the stories about Yosef, right? It has to do with that light coming into this world. Yosef is bringing the light of Yaakov into this world. That's Yesod, right? Hanukkah, light coming down. So there's many connections how this works. But what's really, really important for us is understanding Sfirat HaOmer. So we know that we're told to count from the day after Pesach, right? And you get to Chag Shavuos, 49, 50 days, right? If you count 49, 50 days from Chag Sukkot, you get to what's parallel to Sivan, Vav Kislev, right? 49, 50 days from the 16th of Tishrei. Now there's a hint that we reached Matan Torah, but it's on the side of the year of the creation of Adam in vision. Rosh Hashanah is the creation of Adam in vision, right? And Nisan into Metzius, according to Rabbeinu Tam, right? So there's a hint in that parsha, Vayetze Yaakov mi Beersheva, Sulam, right? Yaakov has a dream of a ladder, and Sulam is written Samech Lamed Mem, without a Vav. When it's written that way, the Tosfos Zikanim and the Baal HaTurim point out every Sefer Torah it's written without a Vav, Samech Lamed Mem, Sulam. It was connecting heaven to earth and beyond the heavens to earth, is Gematria Sinai, right? Remez, a hint to, they elaborate, our sages elaborate and say that Yaakov had a vision of Ma'amad Har Sinai, Lati B'nai Yisrael, Kabal Torah B'Sinai, that in the future, the children of Israel are going to receive Torah on Har Sinai. So that's a hint that we got the Sfirat HaOmer, also on the side of the year of Cheshvan and Iyar, right? Right? Rosh Hashanah, Cheshvan, and Nisan, Iyar, right? Now, okay. You with me? Yeah, okay. Now, there's another hint in that same parsha. Chag Shavuos is the time of the wheat harvest, right? The Keter Chitim. And what happened on Shavuos is the birth of David and Melech and the story of Ruth. Right? You have questions, you can ask questions. Okay, so there's another hint in that same parsha with Sulam, by Yisei Yaakov Beersheva, is Reuven going out at the time of the Keter Chitim, the time of the wheat harvest. What did he find? He found the dude. Dudaim. Right, Dudaim. Dudaim is amazing. It helps make a birth, because you want to bring this light beyond, have a birth into this world, right? Dudaim is letters. Who's the one who's like hanging on tight? Devekus, right? Hanging on tight, not letting go, was Ruth. Ruth hung on tight to her mother-in-law, Naomi. Represents the Torah, her paths of pleasant, right? Derech Noam, right? The Torah, hanging on tight, right? Whereas Orpah, the letter is Arufa, like cutting off, and the letter is Paro. Arpa, the other sister-in-law, right? Mother, just took off, gave a kiss and took off, and she didn't have a good reality after that, unfortunately. We should have only good reality. So Dudaim is the letters, what Reuven found at the Keter Chitim, which means Chag Shavuos. Dudaim is the letters Aim David, mother of David. But Dudaim is Aim David, David with a Yud. Daled Vav Yud Daled, as we say, Vivarich David, right? And we're saying Pesach Zmiros, right? L'cha Hashem, to you God is Hagedula, Hagevura, all the Sfirot. So it'll be finished, Sfira to Omer.
Where's that located? In the...
In Pesach Zmiros, right after the Halalukas. Yeah, after the one that we sang together when I davened here. When I was that was cool. Very good. That was good.
Tefillim 150?
What number is it?
With the Hallelujah.
Oh yeah. After that Tehillim, right? Yeah, 50. Yeah, the last Tehillim.
150. Yeah.
150. Yeah, Yud-K. That's the whole idea. Okay, so now you know there's a hint of Sfirot Omer what sides of the year. Now, most of Sfirot Omer is in the month of Iyar, and the other side of the year, Cheshvan. Iyar and Cheshvan are two opposite months, parallel months, right? Remember we mentioned the parallel months. Tishrei, Nisan, Cheshvan, Iyar, and onwards, right? Kislev, Sivan. Right? Now, Rashi brings these 2 months when it comes to the date of the flood, the Malbul. He brings these 2 months. Why? Because the Torah tells us the date that the great flood started, the Malbul. The great flood started, the Torah tells us, on the 17th of the second month. And the 17th is always when light's coming from beyond to this world. Something's coming down, right? It's kind of like the Malbul destroyed all life, all ruach, because we're starting over, just like starting over, right? Starting over. Okay, now, starting over. So now, Rashi brings the machlokas of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yehoshua, two Tanoim, as to when is day one of creation, to explain when the flood started. Because according to Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that day one of creation of the heavens and earth is the 25th day of Elul, making the 6th day of creation, the creation of Adam. Adam was created on the 6th day. To be Rosh Hashanah, right? According to his opinion, Rashi says, the second month will be the month after Tishrei, Cheshvan. So the flood began on the 17th of Cheshvan, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yehoshua, who holds, we're coming up to it, right? Purim will be the 10-day countdown. Rabbi Yehoshua holds day one of creation is the 25th day of Adar. Elul Adar, right? The 6th day, then, if the 25th is day one, 6th day, 25th of Adar, the 6th day will be Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the creation of Adam. So you have two creations of Adam. Rosh Hashanah is creation of Adam, according to Rabbi Eliezer, and according to Rabbi Yehoshua, it will be Rosh Chodesh Nisan. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yehoshua, the second month will be Iyar. So according to Rabbi Yehoshua, the flood began the 17th of Iyar. Now, Rabbeinu Tam is machriya, makes peace between these two opinions. He says, Shnehem divrei Elohim chayim. So Rabbeinu Tam daf Rosh Hashanah, and Rosh Hashanah daf Kaf Vav, 26. These are both the words of the living God. How can it both be true? So remember what we said? Rosh Hashanah is the creation of Adam in concept, thought, right? And Rabbeinu Tam's words are, B'tishrei Allah b'makshava livro. In Tishrei came up in the thought of God, so to speak, to create, but the actual creation was until Nisan. So Nisan is the actual, and Tishrei is conception. So to conceive, like a birth, same word, conceive, an idea, and conceive. Also in Hebrew, barayon has the same sound. Pregnancy, barayon, and rayon, an idea. So it's like this beyond thought. Thought is beyond. You can go like way beyond with thought, right? So now coming down. So now it's coming down. And so this is the side of the year of inside, deep inside thought, panemius time of year. And then we're coming to Nisan, it's going to be manishtana halayla hazeh, going into like this physical world, which is compared to like darkness. Okay, because really the real light is deep inside, right? Beyond this world. And that's why Rosh Hashanah is Rosh Hashanah. Okay? Someone's there. So, it's okay. Oh, okay, so we'll bring it into, but I want to get to Keter right now. Now that we know, this is very important, we're going to elaborate on this again because this needs so much concentration. Okay. You ready? We said 40 days from Rosh Hashanah and 40 days from Nisan will be Yud Cheshvan. The other side of the year, from Rosh Hashanah from Nisan, also creation of Adam. Creation that also needs the Yetzirah, right? Will be Yud Iyar. Both Sphira to Omer. The Sphira to Omer for Yud Iyar and Yud Cheshvan is the same number, it's the same counting, right? Yud Iyar, Yud Cheshvan, right? It's parallel, right? 40 days. It's 40 days from Rosh Hashanah, right?
No, but we count 49.
49 days, yeah, till you get to Vav Kislev and Vav Sivan, right? Yud Cheshvan is the 25th day of the Omer. Yud Iyar and Yud Cheshvan, 25th. Now, 25 always is like a buzzword in Chassidus to a type of Hanukkah, a new light coming in, Kafeh. Now, Jewish world took it from us also, Kafeh. December, right? Kafeh Kislev, Kafeh Elul, Kafeh Adar, Kafeh in the Omer, new lights coming in. What light? Keter is just beginning, as we said. We're reaching Yetziros Havlad for Yechida, right? For Yechida. Yitzhak was conceived. 40 days later is the beginning of this conception, right? If it's a Hanukkah, 25, how many days are there in Hanukkah? How many days in Hanukkah?
8.
How many?
8.
8. What's 8 plus 25?
33.
What day the Omer is at? Ooh. Lamed. How do you say in Hebrew letters? 33? Lamed what?
Lag BaOmer.
Lag BaOmer. Give all the lights in. That's pretty cool, right? Hod Sheba Hod. But the actual 8th day is going to be the 17th, which is going to be the day of revealing all this light. Why? Because we explained, and we'll end with this and we'll continue with this, that according to our tradition, Yud Aleph, according to the Shemone Yolkut, I forgot to pronounce this, the Sefer that talks about the Midrash, the birthdays of the 12 tribes. The birthday of Benjamin is on Yud Aleph Cheshvan, right? There's another opinion, it's Yud Aleph Iyar, besides the Jewish year, right? Yud Aleph Cheshvan, right? That's the day right after Yud, when all the light's coming in, right? And Yud is also 1 month from Ne'ilah time, Yom Kippur and Ne'ilah, right? At the end of the day. What's going on? So we mentioned that I had a big rabbi, so Hashem should keep him well, Mordechai David Ackerman, who wrote a book called Chai Behem. You're not allowed to kill yourself for the mitzvahs, but Rachel Imenu allowed herself to die for the birth of Benjamin. What's going on? She's alive. There's something inside of her that she's having a hard birth. Looks like she's going to die. She's not allowed to let herself die. That's a halakha. You kill the fetus before it's born. Why? Because it's going to kill her. Of course you don't do abortions in Judaism, but if it's going to kill the mother, you got to get rid of it. What's going on? So he's Dorshan. Rav Mordechai, he was in Har Zion. I was living with him. He was up all night learning, writing Seferim. And he's Dorshan on the pasuk, the verse that mentions the birth of Benjamin, says, V'teled Rachel. Rachel gave birth. V'tikshabel at and she had a hard birth. So how can you have a birth and then a hard birth? Remember what we said? How can you have a birth, but then there's a hard birth? There was a birth. He says the head came out. That's the only answer you can give. Because that's a viable birth. But the full body didn't come out yet. It's still having a hard birth. The body didn't come out yet. Okay? So when did the head come out? So they traveled that day from Beit El to Ephrata. And it was the end of the day, and you can see Ephrata in the distance. The end of the day of what? Yud. So at the end of the year, the head comes out, and we get a new head, and that's the beginning of Keter. And then you have 8 days, right, of developing that Keter. The final 8th day is going to be Yud Zayin, which is the 32nd day of the Omer. 32 is Gematria Lev. Because the completion of Keter is, what are you going to do with all this light? Where's your heart? And as I learned from Ben Sion Chaim Friedman, my brother-in-law, the lower part of Keter, as it's coming down, is Ratzon, your will. Where is your heart? That's what we get to at that point. And that is Netzach. The first day, 25th, is Netzach Sheba Netzach, and that's going to be Netzach Sheba Hod. And the next day, of course, Lag BaOmer Hod Sheba Hod. Okay, now we're going to talk next week, not next week, or tomorrow, whatever, God willing, about the 40 days of the flood, because that day, which would be the Bris Milah, revealing the Atarah, revealing the light of Keter, and the final day that it's done, when you do a bris milah, the bris milah of Binyamin, of all that pure light, Binyamin is not part of love in this world, there can be 40 days of that light of Keter raining down to create the Yud, to the third day of Hanukkah, the 27th of Kislev, from the 17th of Cheshvan, and we're going to talk about that. Gesundheit, everybody. Thank you for joining us.